The movie's good, Dad! It's not, Dad! How's it going? Welcome to another jovial review with Sanjay and Taylor, and we're going to be talking about Star Wars: The Last Jedi. So, Star Wars: The Last Jedi is the second film in the sequel trilogy, the 8th Star Wars film, or 9th technically.
Yep.
And it's directed by Rian Johnson, stars Mark Hamill, Carrie Fisher, Daisy Ridley, Adam Driver. After the destruction of Starkiller Base, the Resistance are on the run from the First Order led by Kylo Ren and the dreaded Snoke. And meanwhile, Rey has found Luke Skywalker and hopes to become a Jedi. I like all these characters. I liked them from the first film, so it's cool to see them again. I was excited to see Rey and Poe and Finn. And it was really cool to see the old characters back again. Mark Hamill steals the show, in my opinion.
Yep, he's definitely one of the highlights. His version of like a very withered Luke provides a bit of a different perspective on the lore of some of what we've already seen, and yeah, it's just very refreshing to see. I personally don't like where they've taken Luke because it kind of makes all the growth that he had in the original trilogy somewhat redundant. But I can appreciate the themes and stuff that they've explored in this particular arc.
They do kind of explore a bit of the origins of him and Kylo Ren, their relationship.
Yes,
and
yeah.
Mark Hamill was a standout, but Kylo Ren's the highlight of these
Kylo
films.
Ren, Adam Driver, in The Force Awakens, he was hands down the most interesting character, in my opinion. In this film, he once again steals the show. Everything about Kylo Ren is pretty perfect. Every scene that he was in, he just gave it more gravitas, and even the narrative focus just seemed to really key in when he was part of it. I think overall there's a lot of stuff in this film that was very bloated, but everything with Kylo Ren was just measured to perfection.
Totally. I just feel like all the stuff that happened with Luke, Kylo Ren, and Rey in this film was amazing.
And I liked her a lot more in this storyline, to be honest. I found her a lot more likable. I found her character more interesting. Part of my opinion of her in The Force Awakens kind of hinged on how she was portrayed here. And even though I liked her more here, I do feel that kind of dropped the ball a little bit in The Force Awakens, because here she's really kind of trying to find herself and kind of exploring with her powers, and it's kind of an untamed wild beast that she's trying to tame, whereas in The Force Awakens she has a bit too much control, in my opinion. Doesn't quite match up, but in this film she's really good.
One of the big main themes of this film is like where you come from, where you're going, and I think how they handled Rey's arc in the film, like I was really engaged, and I really liked the character, and I liked where they went with that. It's sort of like going against the expectations of a Star Wars film. But the whole movie's kind of like that. The film really does go into directions you don't really expect it to go. It really subverts all expectations, and I think you'll enjoy it. If you're kind of expecting the normal classic Star Wars film, this goes a different way.
One of my main qualms with Force Awakens was how much it borrowed from A New Hope. There's still a lot of that here, a bit too much for my liking. Not as bad as The Force Awakens. It's less, but it's
still sort of like the B plot is kind of pretty much the B plot in Empire Strikes
Back. Yeah. Like the overall structure is very similar, and there are a few story beats that, if you have seen The Empire Strikes Back, you're like, this is a bit familiar.
The B plot with like Finn and Poe and new character Rose. I was engaged, but there is a part in the story, two of the characters kind of go on a mini quest line. Yeah. And I didn't like that part of the story at all. Yeah. I honestly felt like I was watching an episode of Star Wars Rebels. It was just like, hey, we're at this place. Oh, something's wrong. Let's see if we can fix it. And it's just like, it was such a departure. So it was like, can we get back to Rey? Can we get back to like the main plot?
Yeah, I have to agree. I think one of the biggest problems is it has no gravity, has no impact. By the time it's kind of resolved, it has zero impact on the story. It was pointless. It really was. And I wasn't engaged. It was just fat that was there and needed to be cut. And the other thing, it was spawned out of one of the other plot lines that really, really annoyed me. I felt like it was engineered in a way that kind of forced character arcs to happen. And the only reason these two arcs kind of, they occurred was due to the just sheer stupidity of one particular character not doing what would be just a pretty logical thing. And it was one of the dumbest plots in any Star Wars film. How can you miss something so simple? I just couldn't believe that I saw that. I don't know how you thought about it, but
I wasn't as angry as you are, personally. I just feel like that kind of situation, sometimes that happens in real life. It sort of was like a real thing. Yeah, I think it does sometimes,
Not like that.
Maybe not to that degree, but it's just a situation that can happen, simple things, And that happens a lot in this film. I feel like things happen that don't go the way you expect, but that's life. That's life. Tell me why so.
Life isn't poorly written, just saying. So there are the three kind of plot lines. One of them is pretty fantastic all the way around. The middle one, not great, because it's all pretty much based on a really shitty decision or just poor writing. It just seemed like writer's block in motion. And the second one, just fat, that you could have cut.
Poe Dameron gets a lot more screen time. The thing with Poe in The Force Awakens was that he was just going to get killed off at the start. But the actor was so charismatic, they were like, hey, let's work him into the plot. This film, he's got a lot more screen time, he's got an arc, and I like the character, so I'm sure it's a bit infuriating things that happen, but I enjoyed watching it. And I liked where it went, and I liked his arc, how it kind of got resolved in the film.
I could have enjoyed it, but because the execution of his arc was really forced and unnecessary, I was just like, I can't buy this.
The score by John Williams, and once again he delivers a great score. It's just the oxygen of the film. It just enhances every moment. When I watched Force Awakens, the score didn't really stand out to me initially.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty weak in The Force Awakens personally.
But I rewatched it and I listened to the score a few times. Now it's great. I love it. I love what he did with that film. And when I watched The Last Jedi for the first time, felt similar feelings. I was watching it going, none of these are standing out, except Rose has a theme, which is overdone. We get it, she has a theme, but it's beautiful. Beautiful theme. I like what they did with it. And yeah, I've been listening to the score in my car, and it's great. He brings back a particular motif, which is one of my favorites.
I'm very thankful he did that.
When it happened, I almost cried. It was brilliant. It was perfectly used. I was like, oh, this is beautiful.
Yeah, I thought there were definitely more standout moments with the music this time. There are moments that I can remember, that were really enhanced by the music. Yeah, music was great. I did really enjoy it.
Incorporated old themes and it worked beautifully. Added some new stuff. It's just another great symphony by John Williams. Moving on to the tech side of the film. The film was gorgeous. Well shot. Some beautiful shots in this film.
Yes,
It really was like, wow. There was one moment where the theater was like, just kind of gasped. So I just appreciated the moment and how beautiful it was. The editing, I haven't decided yet if I liked it or not. It was very different. It just felt like a different kind of Star Wars film. It kind of reminded me of Lord of the Rings in a way. There were lots of close-ups on the main characters' faces. It doesn't feel like a Star Wars film. They linger on a lot of shots. It's not as fast-paced. It takes its time. You might say it's a bit boring. I was engaged, but I think some people might be like, this is taking a while.
Yeah.
And it is the longest Star Wars film currently. It was just such a drastic
stylistic
change from everything else. And part of me likes that because, come on, shake it up a bit. We're going to have these movies every year from now on. So we need something new. But also, it just seems so different. And I feel like now that JJ's jumping back for the next movie, it's going to be the black sheep. I feel like unless they keep it up, it's going to suddenly be the weird movie that was just by itself and looked a bit odd.
In terms of art direction, it's thankfully a lot more innovative than Force Awakens. We get a lot more in terms of creatures and character design.
But still not enough aliens from Star Wars. You didn't see any Twi'leks or anything? So if you'd showed me 5 years ago, I would not tell you it's Star Wars. Because you didn't have those iconic Star Wars aliens.
Yeah, and there's some peppered around,
Not as much as I'd like, personally.
Yeah, fair enough. One particular creature that is in a trailer that's very much it's a bit of an overt kind of nod to, what they're going to be selling. The merchandising.
Yeah.
It's a bit too obvious.
Totally,
and it kind of took me out of it a few times.
Those creatures, though, bring up, it is the best moral dilemma, maybe in all of Star Wars, is a Chewbacca scene involving those characters. And, I was engaged. I almost brought me to tears. It was just like, what's he going to do? And you'll know when you see it. It's great stuff.
I hated that scene.
Humour, Sanjay.
In The Force Awakens, I felt it was a wee bit hit and miss. And I feel like here it's the same thing. It feels a lot more deliberate than in the original trilogy, where it was born, kind of grew more organically from the characters and the situations they were in.
Everything's perfectly all right now. We're fine. We're all fine here now. Thank you. How are you?
And because it came from the characters in those situations, it meant it didn't compromise the overall tone. Whereas here, and in The Force Awakens, there's a lot more kind of cutaways to, hey, look at this, it's funny. Hey, look at this, is this funny? Ooh, here's the line, it's funny. And it does just kind of take me out of it more than a few times, and it does kind of compromise otherwise really good scenes or otherwise really good established moods.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's just another thing that just hurt it for me.
I didn't mind some of the humour. Sometimes,
some of it's really good.
I found it funny that Hux, a lot of jokes were on Hux, who in the first film was just sort of like the guy in charge and shouting stuff, but this film we had quite a few gags and he was sort of like the bum of a few jokes. But there was one moment in the film where he kind of subtly grabs his gun and it was just so well timed. It was brilliant. So I kind of like and dislike the direction of him because he was so intimidating, and this time it's like he's sort of like just the guy getting shat on.
Yeah, it's kind of like the goofy villain's like, oh, can't do anything right.
But so I don't know, haven't made my mind up about that yet, but I appreciated some of the humour. And there was some that was just like, let's do a serious scene and then, and a joke that you could literally just snip out. and
Yeah.
it'd be fine.
It definitely added to, the fat that had already kind of congealed around the whole film. Just more stuff that you could cut away.
You keep saying fat, man. What's your beef?
Because I hate you.
Star Wars: The Last Jedi is a very divisive film. Yeah, I liked a lot of it. And there were some things that left a bad taste in my mouth. But I think that's a good thing. I think it's very similar to Empire Strikes Back. You kind of see that movie and you're kind of like, oh, I'm not sure how I feel about that. And it means it's something different, I like that it went in some new crazy directions. I think it's fresh. We need that. Some of the plot lines obviously didn't need to be there, but still it's Star Wars. It's cool to get new Star Wars stuff. And it's a film people are really talking about, So I'm going to be crazy and do a Tom Ashley and not give this film a score. I'm just going to do... You should go yourself. I've told you what I think of the film. I'm not going to label it. Go see it yourself and talk about it with your friends.
It's ballsy.
Ballsy.
It's very ballsy. I'm really torn. There are some bits that I really enjoyed. There's also really huge swaths of stuff that I just did not like. I'm feeling, the calm, the good stuff. Good character development, good writing. But then I also feel just poor writing, irrelevant plot lines, and in the middle is balance. In the middle is balance, so I'm going to give it a 5. I'm going to give it a 5 because both sides, that's it.
Yeah.
It's right in the middle.
It's very fitting. It's very fitting that you say that, so good job.
I only know one truth. It's time for the Jedi to end.
That's our take on The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
What did you think? Did you like it more than me? Do you think I'm a piece of shit for giving it a 5?
Do you agree? Do you think I'm a piece of shit for not giving it a score?
Yeah, not giving it a score.
Yeah, well, I think it's just... You'll see. Go watch it.
Yeah.
Tell us what you think.
Go watch
leave
it.
a comment, like our stuff, subscribe, please, and yeah. Should we actually fight each other? Or?
I think so.